Hello Internet, my name is Daniel Lewis, and today I want to talk about the things that I have said before, especially the part about the YouTube videos thing. Because the first time I said that I don't usually watch YouTube videos, and the second time I said that I do watch most YouTube videos, and now I have come up with a new revised version of that statement, which actually is that I do in fact watch most YouTube videos, but since I do have to walk to a bus stop after school, and that takes about 17 minutes according to the maps of Google, which are the way that the internet now works, because the main competitor of the internet would otherwise be Bing, and we all know that that is not true. So with me walking to the bus stop and the time on the bus, but I don't have headphones to listen to videos, so I wouldn't be watching it then, because I can't just watch a silent video. So I'd be watching like a silent film, and just my life and the culture that we've been in doesn't prepare me for the watching a silent film. Just watching video happening without sound doesn't seem like something that should be natural, at least not in my sense of the silent film. Well, I do watch all the YouTube videos, and when I'm walking to the bus stop, I listen to YouTube videos, which are amazing, and then when I get home or I'm on the bus or something, whenever I can, I get my phone out and actually watch the videos, which are great. I love seeing all the effort that people put into making these things. But if the people who make these videos, who are dominantly adults, would they have had to go through the same testing that we, the non-adult people of this world, as of recording this video, of which I'm hoping it's we, maybe some adults are listening, I don't know. I'm not an adult, so that's why I'm going to refer to the non-adults as a group that I am a part of, and trusting that at least someone who is listening to this is also not an adult. But the adults of this nation of this world, had probably had to go through standardized testing and had felt the same way that we feel about it. So I remember that during the last time I took a standardized test, a 3-hour one that doesn't actually count for anything other than see how good you're being taught or how good you are at guessing at questions, which is a whole problem in and of itself, considering how you spend a considerable amount of time in class not talking about the subject. Well, not a majority of time, but at least the time that could be used reviewing a subject, talking about how to guess on questions with more frequency. Which would then make it, what would be guessing with some strategies, they call it, but how would it be a strategy if you don't actually know what you're doing? It's an estimated guess, and with doing this, the education system clearly just wants to see how good you are at taking tests or how good you are guessing at the answers, which isn't the best thing, because there are students that are fantastic at standardized tests. It is their thing that they're good at. Probably you. I hope that you're good at standardized tests, because that is something that you are going to need in the future, at least in this point in time. Standardized tests, and also in science fiction, which is another thing that's gone into my mind lately, is that science fiction and other forms of dystopian futuristic fiction have all shown standardized testing or some sort of testing to be the way that government or your friend groups or anything about you is chosen. Which makes you think about how much of your life is actually yours, since, well, if I could use a paraphrased quote from John Green's new book, Turtles All the Way Down, from what I remember, is that the first time I realized I might be fiction was when the lunch bell went off at lunchtime. I don't remember the exact time. And this is ironic, considering it is a fiction story. But it does consider, the book does, and I'm going to as well, consider how much of your life is really yours, since everything well, most things seem to be controlled by an outside force. Forces that you can't control, like the time. The time that you're watching this video, you're probably thinking, hey, I should do my homework, or you're thinking that, no, we should be doing something completely different. Or hopefully, since you are just listening to this and you're not needing to spend energy and time watching, you could be doing something useful while listening to this video. Which, in fact, I do want to bring some attention to, because I don't know if you would call it a video, even though there is a video, but not a movement file. Which is this great picture of an alien going over a standardized test. With the alien is what I'm trying to get at with science fiction, and please find a way to tell my friend Ricardo, who is the person who drew this for about 20 to 30 minutes, that it is fantastic. Please tell him, find a way to do that. But with standardized tests, if there were a lot of humans who united, I'm one of those humans, just so you know, I'm not an outsider to the human. In the human race, I am technically an outsider in certain circles. Anyway, with and you probably are too, if you are a human, you don't usually fit in every single social circle, since most social circles would be needed to disconnect, and if you're not interested in something, then there's obviously no way you can be a part of the social circle. You could be a second hand, but that's not really as fun as leading or contributing to a circle as in group of people or community of people that enjoy what you do as well. Which is, if you don't have something like that, I would really want to encourage you to find a way to get a group of people together with common interests like yourself, maybe like a friend group or something, and just have conversations about things that don't actually make sense but need to be made sense of, which is why you have other people talking about them. Anyway, if with these other people talking about them, one of these issues maybe could be the possibility of lowering the amount of standardized tests or changing the amount of standardized anything in schools, since they don't seem to have as much of an impact on as much as a positive impact on the lives of students, since that's all it's based off of. And you've probably had the thought, if you've lived in this day and age as it's being recorded in the 21st century, that nothing in your life would actually be yours. Or nothing in your life, that's communism, that's not what I mean. Like, everything in your life is numbers, like this video right now. I had a test packet, which is just a personal story. When I was taking the standardized test a few days ago, I had a test packet which had so many numbers and ID codes, identification codes, which just made me think of how much of just a number in the system I am, even though teachers and everyone else says that's not true, that you're unique. But when you see the actual standardized tests given by the government, the way that the common people or the people of the future will remember you is as your identification number, or unless you do something amazing and life-changing for history, it will be a number, or that one person who did that thing that in that time, which is sad. But with that thing that you did, because everybody wants to have some sort of impact on history, and if you don't, well, please find an interest that would make you want to have an impact on humanity in that way. Because, well, speaking about science fiction, I think that would be a good idea to do this. This picture on the front of the video and on the thumbnail is an alien that's like seemingly fighting over standardized tests. And what I'm trying to get at is that these standardized tests, if enough people got together and did something about them, maybe in law or maybe with a protest or something, a lot of letters, ironically, you could get them to be lowered. You could have an impact on them because there is strength in numbers. And if people are to unite against something, that would make almost anything a possible common enemy. Which, as the science fiction suggests, is usually aliens or a bacteria pandemic or another group of people that just doesn't want other groups of people. Like, there's one group of people, group A and group B, let's just say that. And group B doesn't entirely like group A, so they create weapons to make them better, to destroy group A. But while they're doing that, group A is thinking, oh, they're going to want to attack us. So let's us make weapons, and just in case they will. So then you get into an arms race, Cold War style or something. And if like from this reminds me of a quote from Ender's Game, one of the books of Ender's Game, the Enderverse. That if humans didn't spend that much time figuring out better ways to kill each other, we would have exceeded the level of science and technology and research of science that we have now. Which just to say, like, what do the leaders, what does the government, that are chosen and known because of their standardized test scores, what would they do in case something dramatic or something not traumatic, something crazy, for lack of a better word, happened? Say an alien invasion. I'm reading in this book for my book club, which I'm a leader of this year. It's Armada, which is a great book so far. I haven't finished it as of the recording of this video. And it does very much use the concept of all of humanity being united against a common enemy, which were the Europeans from, a moon of Jupiter. And when humans unite against a common enemy, that seems to be what everybody wants to aspire to in fiction. And being a part of this group that is able to vanquish the enemy that threatens you, that makes you feel good, and that would obviously get you, or maybe a group, that name that you were a part of, be into the future history books as long as humans exist. But once that happens, how are you going to continue living on after the main climax of your life? After the alien invasion happens, after the standardized tests happen, after all the other common enemies, which if you can think of other common enemies, please tell me. After all that's happened, how would you continue to go on? Which is a good question, and I would love to consider that the way you go on living after the most exciting part and the most probably history-changing part of your life. You would just want to go on and being happy, knowing that had already happened, knowing that you had done well. And I hope that with this I could say that I did that, or you could say that you are doing something like that to me. If you are one of those people who want to leave an impact on history, in what way do you think that would be at least for you? Or maybe what would you do in the case of an alien invasion? Would you actually unite? Would you want to be a group of activists who unite the human race against these aliens? Or would you, like, aliens are like just any common threat, maybe bacteria, everyone could just become scientists. Well, if you were to do that, what would you do in a case of a common enemy occurring? And what is your opinion on the actual concept of the human race, or just a race of things, bacteria, life forms, uniting against another common enemy, which is a common theme throughout today? What part would you play in, and do you think that would be a good place, at least for you, and how would you feel being in that part do you think that you were, and would that be, in fact, dictated by a standardized test? Okay, well, think about that, and if you please enjoy this, leave a comment or like or whatever, and please answer these questions in the comments or find a way to tell them to me. Thank you, and have a good day, and I'll see you on Monday. Have a good day. Bye.